I was great at recess.
Yeah.
Never good. Never good at school.
I was going to time out.
Yeah.
But Greg Lefave is the president of Superior Auto Group in Sault Ste. Marie. He built it with no family ties into the auto industry, and quite frankly, there's no shortcuts. He started his career vacuuming cars at Enterprise after graduating. He worked at Enterprise locations all across Canada, then came home to Sault Ste. Marie, started with Thrifty, and then built a car empire. Today, Superior Auto Group spans multiple brands.
We used to. Yeah, we sold the Nissan store a couple of years ago. But
but you did it. So congratulations. In 2016, top 40, under 40 in the auto news, which is huge. My guy, so proud of you for that, and not surprised by it either. So thank you, Greg Lefave. You grew up in Sault Ste. Marie.
I did.
Zero ties to the auto industry. None.
Zero ties anywhere, really.
Well, Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah. Just the inner circle. That's it. My dad was in the steel plant, like many of our dads, and my mom bounced around a little bit through different jobs over the years. Real estate, kind of near the end, and then she owned Northcrest Lanes before she retired. So that was kind of the last thing that she had done before she exited the workforce. But yeah, not a lot of big wig ties, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, remarkable. So actually, I do remember you were neighbors with a good friend of mine.
Yeah, yep.
Sonny.
Yeah, I do.
Sonny Joya.
Yeah, that was a really good neighborhood. It was a really close neighborhood, like the whole out playing hockey in the wintertime, playing baseball in the summertime. There was very kid-friendly neighborhood. It was a good neighborhood to
What
grow up
area
in
of town
for
was
sure.
that?
Just behind Great Northern Road, where like Enterprise, where Enterprise Rent-A-Car is, just in behind there.
Area. Okay.
Yeah. Little small street.
Okay.
Well, so at a young age, what did you actually think you were going to do with life after 18?
Yeah. So lucky enough, I figured this out pretty early, like grade 10-ish. And I don't even know if it was so much like figuring it out as it was like a default. Like I wasn't good at anything else. Like I was like a C student in everything else, but like business was like all A's. So it was kind of like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing.
It's a natural goal. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw your name on a plaque at the bowling alley.
Yeah. So yeah.
Did your mom give it to you though?
Yeah, no. That was before she took over.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
PBA bowler was on the list very, very early on. But we quickly scratched that off the list. So, outside of being a professional anything, unless you're in the top 1%, there's not a lot of money in it. So, that was scratched off the list pretty early. And like I said, I really wasn't good at anything else, in school grades wise. So business was pretty logical for me. Law was in there actually when I went to college. There was a brief moment where I was like, maybe I want to be a lawyer. And me, I think that would have been a really good terrain for me. But I ran into the head of the law department at the school I was at he was a big turnoff. I had him and I was like, I'm not dealing with this business. It is, let's go.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So I was great at recess.
Yeah.
Never good. Never good at school.
I was going to time out.
Yeah. You're good in the principal's office, eh? Yeah.
Many times.
So Greg, take us back to the start, I guess, where you kind of got into the auto industry through Enterprise. I think vacuuming cars, doing.
Yeah. So, I don't know what it's like now. I still talk to people from Enterprise, and apparently it's a little bit different. But back in the day, they would hire people straight out of college. Like that was their recruitment strategy, is they were looking for fresh people that they could mold straight out of college. Don't need experience. You don't need the resume. They were looking for people who interviewed well, right? Like people that were willing to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, right? Don't care. They never asked me about my grades. They never asked me about, my account. Like they were interested in, how I would handle customer service, issues, how I would handle performance issues, how I would handle managing staff. Like those.
This was in the interview?
Really?
Yeah, this was in the interview. Yeah.
The first interview.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. So they didn't care about.
So they were grooming you.
Yeah. So they didn't care about, like I said, never asked me about grades, never really asked me about my schooling, none of that stuff. It was all like situational. How are you handling this stuff? And they knew, these interviews are based on college people, straight out of college kids. So there's specific answers that they're looking for, specific attitudes, specific character traits that they're looking for when they bring you in. So, you don't get paid well at all. You're way under minimum wage, or you were way under minimum wage back in the day, because it's
Back
like
when you were allowed to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You never really were allowed to do it. It's just a matter of if you kind of got away with it or not. But, going, working through your lunches, coming in on your day off, coming in after hours, not getting paid, not really getting overtime. But it was for me. Yeah, and they get a bad rap for that. They really do. But for me, I'd do it all over again, because that got like it. They tell you that they tell you that they're going to teach you how to run your own business, and they teach you how to run your own. There's no overtime. There's no lunches. There's no, when you're running your own business, there's none of that.
Like
so,
that.
they're true to their word, and they taught me what it really was like when you're the guy calling the shots. Because you don't get any of that stuff, and it's all on you. So I spent 5 years with Enterprise, great training, great experience. For as much as we could say, wow, the overtime and the labor and all that kind of stuff, I would do it all again, and I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience.
So at what point did you see that you wanted to go more?
So I always wanted to go. I made a decision. I was going to go until I couldn't go anymore.
Okay.
And I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Because I realized real quick that, the more I work through my lunches and the more I work late, and the more they see it and they recognize you for it, and they're pushing you to the front of the line. So I'm like,
next rung on the ladder.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, this is easy. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not the most gifted guy in the world. I just have to outwork everybody. Man, I can do this. That's easy. Right. Yeah. So that's always been my lane is, I might not be the smartest or the sharpest or whatever, but I'm going to outwork you. Right. So that's really
the secret sauce out there, folks. Right there. Outwork everyone.
Yeah. Don't sit back.
Yeah. Heart, and that gets noticed, right?
Yeah,
that definitely gets noticed. And I know, I read a lot of stuff. I like to read a lot, and I like to listen to a lot of people's opinions. And there are people that feel that they work really hard in what they do, and they get overshined or overlooked or whatever. That's temporary. That only, like, you put forth consistent, solid effort day after day, building those blocks, and people can't ignore it. The people at the top they can only ignore it for so long before they're like, holy cow, like,
this guy's not going away.
We got something here. Right.
Yeah, that's good. That's a positive.
So is that, Greg, how you worked in Enterprise across various locations in Ontario and Canada, for that matter?
Yeah.
Right?
So they told me right off the bat, they tell everybody right off the bat, the best way to move your way up through the company, as fast as possible, is make yourself mobile, right? You make yourself mobile, it opens up opportunities. If you're only going to stay, say, in Sault Ste. Marie, well, there's only one location. There's only 2 manager spots, right? So you might wait for a bit. But we have thousands of locations across, Canada and the U.S. Excuse me. So if you make yourself available to move, you're going to give yourself more opportunities, right? So for me, I was like, oh man, right out of college, no responsibilities, no debt, no family, no kid. Giddy up, let's go. You just point me where you need me to shoot, and I'll start shooting. So we went from
the assassin.
Yeah, legit. So I went from the Sioux to Sudbury to Pembroke to St. Albert in Alberta, and then to Grand Prairie. Yeah.
And then back to the Sioux.
Well, in Grand Prairie, that's where I transitioned out of Enterprise, because kind of to tie it in, what we were talking about, you can only get ignored for so long if you're really pushing. Now, all of a sudden, I'm 5 years in, and now I'm getting attention from outside of Enterprise, right?
Okay.
So,
in the auto sector.
Yeah, in the auto sector. So I had my brother-in-law at the time was a finance manager for a Chrysler store, and he saw me, busting my butt and not really getting paid a whole lot for the effort that I was putting in. He's like, man, why are you doing this? And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, you got to come to the other side. Like, you got to come to the car business side, because this is where kind of the money is. And, you know, for me, with my mentality, I was zoned in, I was locked in. I was like, nah, this is the path. I'm really good at what I do. People love me. My bosses love me. I'm on a great career track. Like, grass isn't always greener on the other side type of thing. And then I went to his house, and he lived in this big, massive house, and he had a Viper in the garage, and I was big screen TVs, and I'm like,
I want this.
Is there a money tree in the backyard?
Yeah, legit. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's not dealing drugs on the side, so maybe there is something to this. Maybe I need to consider this switch, and that's when I did. Yeah.
So it was about 5 years in then.
Yeah, I was 5 years with Enterprise, and then I made the switch. They hired me as a finance manager for the Hyundai store in Grand Prairie. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where finance, you know, it's the hub of the dealership. That's the most important position, that whole dealership. Yeah.
That's the secret.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not because of the money. It's just because of it, like, everything stems from finance. Everything can fall apart in the finance office. You could have a deal. The finance manager messes up the deal, submits the credit application wrong. All of a sudden the customer gets declined. You can't get approved, and you've lost that deal. And, you know, you're obviously affected. The salespeople who sold the vehicle are affected. The service department who was expecting to service that vehicle is affected. The finance manager is the hub, man. That's you need a solid dealerships have solid finance managers.
Did that come easy for you, or did you the transition?
It actually did. Yeah. It really came easy for me. They were shocked on how fast I picked it up, considering I had no retail car business experience. I was like 30 days in, and they were leaving me on my own, which is not, that's not normal at all. And it only took me a year to get promoted to sales manager, which is that's not common either.
Greg, walk us through it. Like, you're in, you transition in, you're now at the finance level. Finance, I mean, I love finance, obviously, for where I was in the car game. And then you grab the next rung in the car world. You have to get out of the finance office, even though it is what it is, but to go to the used car sales manager, general manager, ownership, like, how does that hierarchy work?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who stay in the finance manager role, as you know, because it's a great role to have, right? Like, and if you're not interested in climbing the ladder, that's a great position to be in the dealership, because it pays well. It's fast paced, lots going on, lots to do. And inevitably, when you move from finance manager to the next rung, it's a pay cut, right? So a lot of finance managers look at that. They're like, yeah, you know what? I don't care about the title. Just keep paying me the money, right? So the usual... There's two different progressions. I guess you could go finance manager to used manager, and then sales manager, depending on the size of the store. But my store was the Hyundai store was fairly small, so I went from finance manager to sales manager. That was the next step for me.
So, Greg, these progressions inside the dealership and grabbing the next rung on the ladder, we'll stick with that. Yeah. That's based on performance, correct? Like, it's not.
It should be. Usually it is in most stores. Yeah. Sometimes it's not.
Or it's prepare.
Sometimes it's not, Steve.
No.
Chino got in just because he was Chino. This is Chino.
Yeah.
He gets in on his good looks.
I can see that.
His raspy voice.
Yeah.
So it's all based. It should be based on. And I think that
in an ideal world, that's what it should be based on, right? And that's the dealerships that I've been in. They've always operated that way. The dealerships that I run, it's always operated that way. It's promotions based on merit.
So you're killing it out west. Mm-hmm. Family man now.
Yep.
Boom. You're back in Sault Ste. Marie. Walk us through that.
So, like I had said, I made the decision very early to go until I couldn't go anymore. And kind of the secondary plan for that was, again, back to the beginning, no real family ties. And it's kind of tough to get like high level jobs in this city without any kind of connection. So
in Sault Ste. Marie?
Yeah. My intention was always to come home when I had enough experience. So, for me, I had been gone 10 years, moving around, and I was in such a zone, and I had my head down, and I was so focused. I forgot to look up and realize that, hey, like I've done enough. I can come home. I can start looking. And unfortunately, it took my grandfather passing away for me to realize that he got real sick real fast, and I couldn't even make it home to see him one last time before he passed. So it was a very late wake up call for me. And when we came home for the funeral, I'm like, that's it, coming home. Like we're, and at the time I was with my now wife. She was originally from Newfoundland. And when we got together, it was kind of like, I don't really care. Newfoundland's closer to my home than Grand Prairie is. Sault Ste. Marie is closer to Newfoundland than Grand Prairie is. So we'll figure it out when the time comes. So when my grandfather passed away, it was essentially, hey, listen, what are we doing here? Cause it's time. Like there's no reason for us to be out here anymore. She's a chartered accountant. She had been doing what she had been doing for a long time. There was no reason we couldn't come home. So funny enough, we kind of made a deal where she's like, I don't really care to live in Newfoundland. She's like, I'd like to, but I think maybe we'll try the Sioux. She's like, I just want to be buried at home when we go. I was like, that's a good deal. We'll make that deal. We'll live in the Sioux and we'll,
So you came here, left your job, came here, just see what happens? Or
so I applied at World Cars.
Okay.
I applied at Superior Nissan, Cambrian Nissan at the time. Yeah. And I applied at Mitsubishi, was still open at the time. And I remember I went in and I talked to John Dick at Hyundai, and he was really excited. Like he wanted me, but he only wanted me as a finance manager. And he could see it. Like John Dick was a car guy. He really knew what was up, and he saw it right away. He was, and I don't know if he's like this with everybody, but he was power. So I left that interview. Then I went back to Grand Prairie, and he power called me like every day. Make a decision yet? Make it. He wanted me as a finance manager. He was hungry. And I'm pretty sure he could see it, right? Like I interviewed really well because obviously I knew what I was doing. I was 5 years in at that point in time as a finance and then sales manager, right? And
15 years in the game.
Yeah, so he knew, but John Chicoche offered me a sales manager job, which was obviously it was what I was doing. I would have taken the finance manager job if that was the only offer that I would have gotten. Just because I wanted to come home, and it wasn't about the money at that point in time for me. But John offered me a sales manager spot.
Chicoche.
Yeah, John Chicoche offered me a sales manager spot. And he let it be known in the interview. He's like, man, I don't have that much time left. So, maybe we can work out like a buy down the road.
Wow. That's huge.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy that they would step into that, trying to get you involved.
Yeah. So like I knew what I was doing. Like I was 5 years in car, and like all the accomplishments out there, and it's very regimented out there. Like the Sioux car market, like structurally is very laid back. It's a very, very laid back market. It's not,
I would say the market. I'd say the operating of it, the people in it, right, Greg?
I know what exactly you're saying.
They're double C players where you were playing in the big leagues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Either come to me or don't, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's, you get some urgency and you get some sales tactics, but they're nothing like, there's fist fights out west, right? Like people are fist fighting over deals. That's how hungry these people are to get car deals. So I didn't like that at all.
I like it as a previous finance manager. I love that.
Yeah. So that's never been my lane. I've never liked that style of aggressiveness. I mean, it was fun to work in that environment, but that wasn't something that I wanted to be doing forever. That wasn't the environment that I wanted. Yeah.
Well, it was exciting to have you back in the Sioux, because I can say firsthand, I got to see Greg in action right from day one, which was an amazing opportunity in the Sioux to have someone with his pedigree
ability
come back and actually start putting that. I mean, we did okay, but we did everything to a whole nother level after you got there.
Yeah. In sales, a lot of it is process and excitement. And if you could put a process in place and get people excited about it and get moving, it makes a big, big difference. And
it's a big step to buy a vehicle. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So people have to see that.
You need people that are all going in the same direction.
Yes.
At a dealership, if it's going to perform. And like John's dealership was, it was performing fine. Yeah. He did fine.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything groundbreaking when I first stepped in. It was an energy change, and that makes it. And it's the same thing at Chrysler, right? Like when we bought Chrysler and we took over at Chrysler, I didn't change anything groundbreaking. I just changed the energy. That's really what it's always been about. Is
I don't think a big move is a good move. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of time and move it around. So that's what I find.
Look at hockey. Look at Vegas. They fire their coach and they bring a new guy in, and he's got a different energy. And then
look at the goalie too. Yeah, they picked the goalie up halfway through, and look at him go.
So you're back in the Sioux. Not to keep going on hockey. Maybe clearly you're going for Vegas.
Yeah, I don't care who wins. It's not the Capitals.
They're both strong.
Yeah.
Not your Ovechkin.
Yeah.
So you're back in the Sioux. Nissan's rocking and rolling. John is getting near that exit point, and you're able to strike a deal, which is fantastic.
So that happened later, right? Don't forget. So I was about 2 years in at Nissan, and to rewind it a little bit, when I told the guys out west that I was leaving, they threw the truck at me to stay, right? They did not want me leaving at all. And they did what they were supposed to do, right? Like when you're in that position and you have a good employee, you do what you need to do to try to keep them. And they did what they were supposed to do. But I'm like, guys, this has nothing to do with title, position, money. It has nothing. Like, I have to go home. I need to go home. Like it's time for me to go home. So, I wasn't back long. Funny enough, they own a Nissan store out there, and there was a NFL Super Bowl competition that Nissan had run. So I moved back in October, and this competition was in December. And I think there was like 15 spots for all of Nissan. If you won this competition, the owner got to go to the Super Bowl. And we won this competition for John. So John got to go to the Super Bowl. And cool enough for him, like he's a Steelers fan, and the Steelers actually went that year to the Super Bowl, which was really cool for him, I'm sure. But the list of the winners gets posted across Canada, right? So my guys out west saw that. And they're like, "Hey, we're looking at buying some dealerships in other cities. What do you think about getting in business together? Like, what do you think about some kind of a partnership?" And funny enough, I was like, you know what, guys, I appreciate the offer, but I need to do this on my own for now, because the group that I was a part of, it's the biggest publicly traded auto group in Canada. They're wildly successful. For as successful as I was with them, they were successful with or without me, right? They didn't need me to maintain that success on a national level the way that they did. They were the best of the best. So the way that I looked at it is, I was playing for the Dodgers at that point. And yeah, I won a World Series ring, but I won a World Series ring on the Dodgers. So how much was I really contributing? I wanted to win, a world, I wanted to win a World Series ring on the Cubs or on the Blue Jays, right? Like I wanted to go to one of those teams that was, had it, they were there. They just needed the push. So that way, like I could validate my accomplishments that way. And it's just like, oh, I'm not just piggybacking off of these giants. So, and that was important to me. I had a lot of success with those guys, but there was always that, well, am I really only having this success because I'm with these, these legends? So I was like, you know what? Appreciate the offer. I just want to do my own thing for a bit. Let me do this. And let me show myself that I could push the issue. Doesn't matter where I go. I could push the issue, whether I'm with, legends, people at the bottom, people in the middle, on the cusp. So, we did our thing and we rocked out, and we had a really, really great 2 years. And then it got to the time where, funny enough, you had started the conversation with Thrifty, with a rental company. And we were kind of thinking about doing that together.
Yes, we were.
And then I had remembered a conversation that I had with the shareholders from out west. And I was like, you know what, let me give them a call. He's like, hey, you guys still interested? And they're like, yeah, let's talk. So one thing led to another there. We bought the Chrysler store in 2012 from there. And then it was 2014 where I went back to John.
Thrifty first, though.
Yeah, Thrifty.
Thrifty
yeah,
first.
right.
Thrifty was the.
So we got the Thrifty used cars first. So I went back to my rental roots, which was cool for me because I always enjoyed that. And I always, I'm nostalgic that way. Thrifty first. And then, so Thrifty in April, Chrysler in August of 2012. And then that's when we went back to John in 2014 and said, hey, where are you at?
And that was along the times when I was leaving to go on my own journey.
You were. You were.
You had left to go to your journey. I left to go to my journey because I remember my very first 3 weeks. I wrecked one of his rental cars.
See, I don't even remember that now.
Yeah, remember the RBC Visa because we rented it. Good job, RBC Visa.
Yeah.
Coming through.
Yeah. No, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What'd you wreck?
Oh, I didn't personally. One of my guys.
One of your guys wrecked it.
He made a right when he should have made a left.
Oh, it was a rental.
It was
one of your guys that were renting. Nah, I still don't remember.
Anyways.
There's so many there's so many wrecks and rentals. There's so like having a vehicle get in an accident and rental, that's one of those things that you don't remember those. Like if you have like a weird story where a vehicle's stolen or you'll remember that stuff. But yeah, when guys get in accidents and rentals, you don't typically remember those stories. But that is funny.
This man right here, Steve, gave me my very first security contract.
Oh, there you go.
Like, talk about like full circle.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that too. I was like, man, I really should have tried to like plan it better, and totally my fault because you were pushing me for it. And I've just been in a different place lately, but I thought about it. I was like, man, I should have been the first one to do this with you. That would have been cool to kind of
first.
So one of the first, right? Because I've been
still first season.
Yeah. First season. There we go. How many have you had so far?
We have 12 going 13 live this week. So we've been live for 13 weeks, about 1,500-ish followers across all the platforms.
Nice. That's awesome.
Well.
And so we're clipping. It's really remarkable when you take that leap to do something like really new for the North, right? And that's probably where you see the North is a different untapped beast from all the places that you've been.
Oh yeah.
And so the North has been embracing us. Other places are embracing us, and we're very excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. When he gets something in his head, he doesn't stop.
Oh no, I know.
As you know more than me, I'm learning.
Yeah, I know. And it's always the most random things.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah,
we're gonna do this.
It's always the most random things too. It's like, hey,
it's very
really,
yeah. It's funny. Like he'll always pop by my office, and it's like, I'll get the update on, and he's like, "Here's what I'm gonna do now," and it's always like, that's great. Let's go.
You just get caught up to him, then he's moved over.
Yeah.
We're always progressing. We're chasing a number.
Yeah. Well,
you never get bored, right? Like there's no chance you've ever been bored a second in your life.
The 2 years that I was retired.
Yeah.
Bored out of my brain.
Yeah.
So walk me through your actual full expansion. I think the audience would be really, you came to town, bam, you had, and I think it's important for business leaders to understand as they progress through climbing, showing up, doing what you need to do to climb the rung, putting in the extra like you did. That is what opened up opportunities as you even left places. I think managing those relationships, right? Your group out west would not have wanted to continue a relationship if you weren't a rock star. Even though you left, they were like, oh no, if that guy's, I want to be part of Greg's success.
Yeah. And it's like, I left on good terms with them, right? I was like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, 2 weeks and I'm done. It was like, listen, I'm going home, but just tell me, tell me how much time you need to fill the chair, or at least to try to fill the chair. And, the original answer was like 2 years or something like that, which is funny. I was like, wow, I can't do
I always
that.
tell young people like you, push. Don't sit back like everybody else.
Yeah.
Go for it. You have nothing to lose. Somebody's going to see it, and it might move you to the next step.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, he works for Bombardier, and he was in at a place where he didn't know, everybody was pushing him down, the same as you. And he called me up and said, what I should do? I said, you should go right over their backs and just keep going. And now he's huge, high up there in the game. There's the word for the day. But he's high up in that spot now because of what you just did too.
Yeah,
so, I believe in it. So
a fatal flaw that I see a lot of people make is they're too concerned about what's happening around them.
Yes.
Oh, this guy's doing this. That guy's
he's
not
taking
doing
extra
that.
lunch. He's doing.
Who cares, man? Like it's not about
it.
that guy's not paying your bills.
No.
Right. And you complaining about it is not advancing your standing. Like I view the business world as one big game, one giant chessboard, and
Three-dimensional.
Yeah, and if I'm not, and I micromanage everything that I did personally. Like, I'm not a micromanager in my business, but I micromanage everything I did, where it was like,
For yourself.
every conversation, if this is not pushing me closer to my goal, every action, every reaction, every task, if this is not pushing me closer to my goal, I'm not wasting time on it, right? So, oh, this guy's not doing this and that guy's not doing this and I need this. If you know, none of that stuff gets you closer to where you're going. It doesn't help that. It doesn't help the other person. Doesn't help you. Doesn't help.
That's right.
Right?
Everybody in business has a story.
Yeah.
Not all the same, but they do the same thing as push themselves to that limit to go forward.
They're focused on themselves and their growth,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's
That's a
the
common
biggest
thread.
thing.
It's a
Yeah.
common
And
thread
you
for
just,
sure.
you can't be worried about everything around you. You know, you get locked in, like that phrase, get locked in, like that's how it happens. You get locked in, you get in that zone. And even for me, like I was, you know, like I said, I was in that zone and I looked up, my grandfather was gone. And I was like, holy crap. Like I need to go home. Right. And sometimes you get too locked in. Right. But I'd rather be too locked in than not locked in
changes
enough.
you to do that, because I did the same thing when I opened my business. I was trying to get my dad on the steel plant, which your dad was there, and I pushed him and pushed him. Let's go. He's 44 years in there. Let's move. And he got cancer just when I bought the company and just when it was going to go and he was going to work for me, and it was cool. It was kind of a cool spot, and it didn't happen. But it was too late and too far between. But you know, that's the way it works. So
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I got a few of those stories. Maybe if we got time, we could talk about them later, but it's, yeah, I was only ever focused on what I was doing, my mission. And if the conversation or the act or the task or the environment wasn't getting me one step closer to the goal, I wasn't wasting time on it. It's as simple as that.
So Greg, well, clearly because you locked it in, 40 under 40 in the automotive news, Northern Ontario dealer, national list, did all that recognition. I mean, that recognition comes because you were locked in.
Yeah. Yeah. The 40 under, like the awards and that kind of stuff, I always made that out to be, I always tried to cast that net to all of the staff, right? Like, because if Superior Chrysler, Superior Nissan, or Superior Auto Group, if they won something, it was the group that was winning.
there's no such thing as I in business.
Right. Yeah.
But you do need a good leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
40 under 40 was really the individual award that I couldn't like it was an individual award. I couldn't it's like winning the MVP of the league, right? Like, yeah, you can credit your team type of thing, but it's really, really hard. You win the Super Bowl, you're the Super Bowl MVP. It's really easy to be like, oh yeah, team effort, not here because of the guys. But there's the 40 under 40 was the one award where it was truly an individual award. Obviously had a lot of help and thanked a lot of people along the way. But that one was special for me because it was North American.
That's
North American auto industry. That one's always going to stick with me. And even as you were saying it, I still get goosebumps hearing it because it's that one was special for me. If I was ever going to single out, you know, an individual award as being important to me, that's definitely the one. The rest of them that come there, those I always consider those as kind of team group.
okay.
Well, someone who's worked with you, is much deserved. Like you were inspirational for me. I enjoyed working with you. So kudos. And for those folks at home, I'm pointing to you folks out there right now. That just goes to show when someone's looking around, you live in the north, you live in a remote market. It does not matter where you live. Greg is proof. Show up, have a plan, work your plan. As he says, lock it in. And by locking it in, you can achieve great things. And more importantly, I think you can attest a lot to this, actually, probably both of you. When you're locked in like that, a lot of people start capturing your energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they get on. And man, when you start moving, you probably look around and you're like, we are moving.
It's contagious.
When it moves fast.
Yeah. And that's just like what we were talking about earlier. Like I didn't, you know, like I keep saying this, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I know how to move the needle. Right. And it's actually really easy.
That's true
and that energy is contagious, man.
Yes.
Like somebody sells a car, you give them high fives, you dap them up, you get all excited, you're dancing in the
like that thing.
Yeah.
Well, the next time they buy a car, they're going to come and see you again.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
on the salesperson side of it too, they feed off of that. And the last thing that you want to be is the guy who's left out, right? You got, 3 or 4 salespeople, and all of a sudden 3 of them are moving the needle, and everybody's excited, and you're, kind of a stump in the corner, and you don't want to be that guy, right? So all of a sudden it's like you can get your top performers going with that energy, and then what that happens is it pushes everybody else because they want to come along for the ride too.
So, Greg, do you remember way back when you first got to the Sioux and we were looking to get new sales staff and everything, and we ran a sales competition? Like,
I do remember that. Let's not go into too much detail about how that was, because
it's a decade ago. It doesn't matter.
I don't think we were really supposed to do it that way, but but it changed the energy in the showroom, right? It completely. That was the one thing when I walked into Nissan for the first time, is I noticed just a very different energy from what I was used to out west. And it was very calm, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you want to move the needle, you need some oomph, right?
Ramp it up.
And
reinvent the wheel.
When you're in the business long enough, like, you can tell. And I had said that I had interviewed at the Mitsubishi store, or I dropped off a resume at the Mitsubishi store when I came back. I walked into that showroom. I gave them my resume. I had about a 5-minute conversation with, I think, the sales manager at the time, and I walked out. And Karen, my wife, my now wife, was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "This place isn't going to be around in 6 months." Like,
oh wow,
yeah, and you can
and you can feel it.
You can tell, like, when you're in that business, you can walk into a dealership and you can generally get a pretty good idea of where it's at. And it was, I swear to God, I walked into that place and it looked like everybody's dog had died that day. Like, so
they could. In all fairness, maybe they got their notice already. That's why.
And maybe they did, but it was, it was glaringly evident that place didn't have a lot of legs left. Yeah.
So along with energy, Greg, and the energy that you bring to the table, because I've experienced it, what actually changed? Systems, people, culture, all three. What?
Yeah, all 3 of them. So my goal when I move into a new position. So when I moved. Enterprise always taught us that when you go to a new location and you're responsible for that location, you don't need to change the world in a day, right?
I agree.
So I can't remember if their philosophy was 90 days and I just shortened my own philosophy to 30 days. I think it was 90 days. I think their philosophy was 90 days observe. Just spend the first 90 days watching everything.
Yeah.
Don't try and change the world in a day. Observe.
People hate change, first of all.
Well, yeah, they hate change regardless, and they definitely hate like immediate instant change right off the hop.
They're already against you then.
Yeah, so that's always been my thing, is I'll go in and observe and make the little tweaks here and there. So when I moved into Chrysler, after about the first week, I was like, oh my God, this place has more potential than even I thought. Just Chrysler was rocking and rolling at that time. The product was great. The programs were great. Everything was great. And the guys there were just conditioned to run through the motions. So yeah, well, and it's, the owner at the time, so listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And there's more than one way to run a profitable dealership. And there's certain dealerships out there that they say, this is, yeah, sure, we could make this, but the effort that it's going to take is going to be massive. So let's set our sights right here. We can live stress-free, carefree in this line and still make this amount of money, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what the previous ownership had decided. They didn't want the stress. They didn't want the hustle and bustle. They didn't want the headaches. They had their game plan to make X amount of dollars every single year and sell X amount of cars, right? So, and they executed it. So that's all you can ask for in business. For them. Yeah. So, hey, you got a game plan, you executed it. It hit. Nothing wrong with that. You're a success in business. I looked at it, and this is really where, you know, my business philosophy is kind of different than my personal philosophy, because we've had the whole, you know, infinity talk before. My personal philosophy is a lot different than my business philosophy. So when I went in there, I was like, infinity, let's go. Like, this place has, we're going. So we changed our pricing strategy basically immediately. We changed our volume strategy immediately. And those, you know, I know it might seem counterproductive or a little bit contradictory to say, oh, well, just observe over 90 days, but then you're changing. You make changes. You got to make sure to make the changes that people are going to see them as positive immediately, right? And it's those changes, the salespeople are immediately making more money. They're not complaining about those changes, right? Like, you start restricting days off or opening, you know, on weekends, and like, those are negative changes that you have to institute over time and roll them out accordingly, so you don't have a revolt. If you're going to put something on the table where it's like, hey guys, we're going to change this and you're going to double your paycheck, nobody's arguing that kind of change, right? So that's what we did immediately at Chrysler when I realized where the potential actually was, and I learned where Chrysler's direction was and where the lane was, and it fit in perfectly with the demographics of this city. Like, Chrysler was very much a low-cost provider in that time.
Very true.
They were paying their dealers to push volume. They didn't care how much money they made on their vehicles. And for the demographics in the Sioux here, that's the perfect strategy to implement in a city like this. So we moved completely to a volume strategy, didn't care how much money we made. We just wanted to sell as many vehicles as possible. And the community just loved it, right? Because they were getting great deals, insane deals. We had the manufacturer support back then, which made it really, really easy. So yeah, it didn't take long. We were like 30 days out of the gates, and I was looking to hire because we were so busy. We were bringing in trucks of inventory from other dealerships because we had sold all of our inventory. Yeah, it didn't take long.
Doubled or triple?
Yeah, triple. Well, so yeah, we took over that store. It was a 350 car store, and then we maxed out in our peak at like 800 new. So 2.5 times, I guess. Yeah.
And I think, you know, part of that energy level, I remember you used to do the dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had what they call the Dirty Dozen reward supper out west. And I always thought that was a great idea. So I implemented that here. So the concept of the Dirty Dozen is 12 vehicle sales is a really good month for a salesperson.
Yes.
So we decided that anybody who sold 12 cars in a month, we would reward them with a supper. So it was contingent on the dealership hitting the target. So the dealership had to hit their big target. And then if we hit, that unlocked. And then anybody that hit 12 got to go. And then the managers kind of had their targets to invite. And then we would all go to Arturo's. Arturo's was kind of the spot for us. We would all go to Arturo's and celebrate the good month. So that always went over really, really well, because you got somebody that's like on 11 at the last day of the month and just like calling every relative that they have. Like, I need one more deal to get to this supper. It went over so well. Yeah.
I think it's even more important when you miss the dinner. You're like,
yeah, because you're missing out.
You're like, you are missing out. And
Yeah.
it's not only that, you're missing out on that team building. That's like the A players. You want to be with the A player. No one wants to be a C player.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I played the game, I played to win. Anything. I want to win.
Yeah. Yeah, and realistically too, like, you need a mix of that, like, especially when you're trying to motivate staff. When we're talking about motivation, there's different levels of motivation. Financial compensation is obviously one of them, but let's be real. Like, an Arturo supper, if we were going to go, what's that going to cost? If me and you went, it would be $300 a plate, maybe. Yeah. So if somebody's sitting at 11 and I go to them and I'm like, hey, $300 cash if you get that 12th. There's going to be an impact there, but it's not the same impact as this supper had.
No.
Right? Because you didn't want to miss out on the social aspect of it. So yeah, it went over really, really well. It was a very, very popular thing for a long time for us.
Do you find you're still doing that today? Like, after years of going by, trying different things, moving around, or? So the very long-winded answer to this question. When Essar went bankrupt in, what was it, 2016, 2017? I think it was 16, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get the exact thing. They could flash it.
Yeah.
We have accuracy.
Yeah. I rarely panic in business, but I was borderline panicky when that was announced, because Essar was a big part of our business, and our business model was 90% of our profitability came from volume, because we hit our volume targets. Chrysler sends us a truckload of money.
Yeah.
We're getting tons of deal, because Essar has a great deal with Chrysler where they get 2% over invoice. So it's a phenomenal deal. And it's stackable with like the 0% and all that kind of stuff. So we were getting a ton of business from Essar. So when they went, the problem with stair-step programs is they never get any easier. So you sell 500 cars one year, your targets are going to lock up. You got to sell 600 cars. So we're fresh off 800 cars.
Yeah.
And now this bankruptcy is announced. And not only do I have to sell more cars to hit my target, but now I'm dealing with this external factor that I can't control. And I was like, oh, this is a problem. This is going to be a problem. So what it did was it forced me to relook at the business and be like, okay, this was fun while it lasted, and we should be okay, but we have to find a more sustainable way to operate long-term, so we're not 90% dependent on one department. So that was kind of the first step on us concentrating. They call it fixed ops.
Okay.
In the business, parts and service department. So, and in dealership land, they actually break out every department as its own individual business. So there's a part of the statement that you submit to the manufacturers. It's page 6 for Chrysler, and they break down every department as if it's its own individual. So the service department is its own individual business. The parts department's its own individual business. And my parts department made money, and my new car department made money, and my used car department and my service department were losing money.
Okay.
So we looked at that, and it was like, okay, can't have this anymore, because obviously we don't know where the new car department's going. We need to figure it out. So that was really the first step that we made towards a better focus on more efficient fixed ops. And, as we progressed through, I started to realize the importance of the parts and service department to the profitability of the dealership. And it was like, man, I'm giving all of these rewards to these sales guys to push the issue when I'm saying that we're revamping the dealership and we're putting more of a focus on parts and service. We got to start doing these same things. So the dirty dozens and the spiffs and all that kind of stuff. So we've revamped it. So now it's been the parts and the service departments most months where we're going out for dinner. And different dynamic, right? Like your technician and your service advisor is going to want a different night out than a salesperson would want, right? So it's funny because we end up, I kind of make fun of them because I'm like, hey, where are we going? And I don't want to throw restaurant names out there like as if this is a bad thing, but they'll throw a restaurant name out and it's like, really? We can go anywhere in the world and like this is where you guys want to go.
With the beer's running.
Yeah, legit, right? And like the Arturo's bill, we would take 10, 12 people. It would be a $4,000 or $5,000 bill. Like I'll take 10 or 12 guys out from the service department and they'll pick a spot where it's like $1,200. So
win for the team.
Yeah. It's like wing night. It's like,
okay,
but hey, that's what,
they like that.
That's
they want
what they
that.
want. That's what they want.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make them happy. You go crazy with that. So
you ever do a competition between parts and that kind of stuff?
So I try not to do
keep it as a team.
Yeah.
Interdepartments.
Yeah, because it makes it tough, right? Because everything's connected where the used car department's connected to the service departments, that's connected to the parts department. So it makes it really tough. The only real competition is like we set benchmarks and goals, and then your competition against the other departments is how high over your own personal benchmark you can get. Right. So that's kind of how we look at it that way.
So Greg, is that how you build a small, like a high performance team in a small market?
Yeah, it's got to be, you got to get these guys close knit. And it's a really fine line because you don't want to start to be best friends with all of these people because you have a business that you need to manage. And then that gets, when you got to start disciplining people, it makes it tough. So there's a very, very fine line there. But yeah, man, that's the key. You get a good crew together and you treat them properly, and you don't skate them. The car business has a really, really bad reputation for skating salespeople. And what I mean by that is if they should have made $500 commission, you're adding these phantom costs here and there and getting their commissions down to $300, right? you want to have it fair.
If it's 500, it's 500.
Yeah, it's 500, it's 500.
Yeah.
So you want to make it fair, and you treat them properly. And one of the things that we excel at is our retention. Our retention is almost too good at this point. Excuse me. And I'll explain that. That's a problem sometimes. It's almost too good at this point, but if you look at our 10-year list, it's like 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, 30 years, 25 years, 20. We have so many employees over 5 years, so many employees over 10 years. Crazy. It's metric wise, it looks fantastic. You do get some problems on the other side of the house where when your retention gets that good, you borderline on a click, right? So it makes it tough for new people to come in because you have a day one person that comes in and they're staring at all of these 5, 10, and 15-year plus employees that are all super tight together and hang out together after work.
Is my shirt tucked in or untucked?
Yeah. So it's you kind of, but that's a good problem to have. Like you'd much rather be on that side of the house where you're trying to manage,
absolutely,
a click behavior versus a revolving door of, finance managers or sales managers or salespeople.
And I guess that you're with these people and they're so tight knit that it's hard not to become friends. And then you're right, the disciplinary thing. I remember in my last days when I was exiting, you wrote me a very email. You're like, dude, where are you at? Like, and under the old regime, I had a lot more freedom and it was different. But Greg had to write me a letter that I'm sure, because I know if I had to write that letter, it would be, he's like, man, listen, I love you, but this is what we need. And so I'm sure you had to do a lot of those kind of things with a lot of different people.
Yeah. And setting the expectation is proper. And, that email that I sent to you, it was like, that was me recognizing your potential. I was like, what are you doing here? Like, go do, like, you had so much stuff on the side. I was like, man, get out of here. Like, go doing your thing and like kick ass. Right. Like that's what that email was. I do remember that because I was like, man, this is, you're really good at this, but you're so much better at this other stuff. Right.
The other stuff was recess.
Yeah. But setting expectations is really, really important for discipline. When you're in a management position, you're going to have to discipline your employees. If you're doing it properly, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. You have to set up the proper expectations, and there's going to come times where you're going to have to fire people, suspend them, whatever. And what Enterprise taught me was, when you get into one of those positions, it's never fun. It's never going to be easy. It never gets any easier. It never gets any funner. The only thing that you can do is make sure that it's not a surprise to the other person. Okay. Your job is to make sure that when you have to have these tough conversations, you're not blindsiding these people. So if you have to fire somebody and you sit down and say, you go through it, and it's like, at the end of the day, we're moving on, you're fired, whatever. The best thing that you can be doing in your position is to make sure that it's not a surprise to the other person. And I feel like I've done a really good job of that over my career, because the majority of the time, it doesn't happen very often. I have a really slow hook, to use a baseball term, managers who pull their pitchers. I have a really slow hook, and I give my people a lot of chances, to make better. Yeah. And it's like, when I have an employee that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I look at it like, where's the hurdles? How am I preventing this person from succeeding? What can I do to push this person forward and to get them to the next level? That's always kind of how I looked at it. So
I do the same thing. I have a hard time with that too. It's a very difficult.
It's not easy.
I'm giving them the money and the thing to have their business and their families. And so when they start kind of screwing up a little bit, I push them harder instead of firing them. I push them harder and see how far I can push them. Either they're going to leave anyways, or they're going to stay and get better.
Yeah.
And lots of times they leave because it's always not their fault or whatever it is. But at least I gave up the offer, and I start pushing really hard. That's all I do.
That was my that was going to be my secondary point, is the majority of the times when it was getting to real close to that point for terminating an employee, they knew it, right? So I had succeeded in my mission because
Set the table.
they would come to me and be like, yeah, I found something somewhere else, like
Yeah.
clearly not working out. So that's the
That's an
best
easier
thing.
route.
Well, it's for both sides,
Yeah.
right? Like, and it's not even like I'm trying to make it easier for me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm responsible for the bottom line. I have shareholders that I have to appease. I'm responsible for the bottom line. So if I have to let somebody go, for me, I have to be business as usual tomorrow. It doesn't affect me. So I'm not concerned with making it easier for me. I'm my concern is the other side of the table.
And sometimes you get a bad rap for it too, right? Like, what did you call it? The slow
hook.
hook. I was famous for a slow hook.
Mhm.
And I did have numerous conversations, lots of people. But at the end of the day, you then in turn you're like, oh, that guy's the bad guy. And I'm like, hey man, listen, I'm good. I'm in the spot where I need to be. You weren't doing what you needed to do. And so
Yeah,
Bottom
I'm usually the last person in the building to call for the hook, right? Like it's like the managers, well, usually it starts with the employees and then it makes their way up to the managers and then the senior managers.
Yeah.
And usually I'm like, okay, let's slow it down. Let's try this. Let's try that. My goal is to always be the last person in the building to say, oh, okay, gotta go. It's
So,
time to go.
Greg, do you find that slowness causes a lot of discomfort? Your employees, they're having a hard time with it. Be like, man, this guy's not, or girl, or whomever is not living up to what our expectations are. You're not pulled them yet. Why haven't you?
Early on for sure, because once you set a precedent, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
And setting a precedent on something like that is difficult because if you're having a slow hook and if your intentions are to try and keep, try to work with employees and get them to turn around and get them to do better, those type of situations, people are going to be like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen. But then all of a sudden, we're 14 years into this and there have been instances where we've blown people out. Now the precedent's set where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not going to be maybe as fast as I'd like to see it happen, but if we keep going down this path, then, and there's the flip side to that too. You'll have guys figure it out, right? There's a few guys in that building that were on that cusp. And had I been quicker to hook, we would have been missing out on great employees, great managers even.
It goes,
right?
it goes both ways.
Yeah. So
Not often, but it does. And when you do, you got a really good guy.
it's low. Like when you get to the point where you're like, okay, this guy's probably got to go, you're not necessarily drawing dead, but the one or two that do make it through, those ones,
they usually know. So they either step it up, and some of them do step it up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Greg's a baseball guy.
yeah.
I am. Yeah.
So let me transition to here. What was the hardest lesson? Because this kind of goes into what we're talking about. What was the hardest lesson you had to learn the expensive way?
That's a trick question.
Oh,
Well, I know mine, but
Everybody has one or two.
man, what was the most expensive? The hard lesson expensive. I don't know. You know what? Let's move to the net. Let's skip that question. We'll come back to that.
yeah. So what we could actually then is running multiple brands under one group, and what does a week actually look like? Because I remember, how does it? What do you do?
Yeah. So, for me, I always kind of, as much as I always had like a plan and a process when we sold Nissan a couple of years ago, so I don't have that. So my life looks a lot different now, but in the thick of things, when Chrysler was selling, we had 2.5 times business at Chrysler, and we had pushed Nissan to 450 cars, right out of the gate from there, kind of 220, 240.
I should have stayed.
Yeah. It was, I played it by ear, and it was, where am I needed? Right. So what, I looked at this, especially in 2014 was crazy, man, because my twins were born. They had, there were some health complications. My wife was living in Toronto, like in the hospital. And we had these 2 businesses that were absolutely booming, along with some other stuff on the side. My life was crazy. And I have this conversation with people a lot where it's like, to get to the position that I'm in, you have to show that you can do it all yourself. And then once you get into that position, you have to be able to delegate to others to do
100%.
it. So it's
hard
like,
to do.
it's an immediate 180. Like that's the toughest transition from being on the front lines to being the guy in the chair is you don't get to be the guy in the chair unless you can prove you can do it all. And then once you get into the chair, you have to trust everybody else to do it for you.
Never do the same thing.
Yeah. So I always looked at it day by day, and it's like, where am I needed today?
Yeah.
Where's the priority, right? You know, Chrysler sales are struggling or sputtering out a bit. I need to be at Chrysler. I need to be in the finance office. I need to be looking at credit applications. You know, I need to put a Facebook post out to try and get some traffic in, to try and get some interest in. So that's really, it was a day by day thing for me. It was
you became the troubleshooter of whatever is out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to deal with all the crappy situations.
You're looking at MacGyver. He's MacGyver of cars.
Yeah. So it's instead of just doing like the fun stuff, I had to deal with all of the underperforming
if you don't
stuff.
fix it, it's going to keep breaking. So.
Yeah, that's it. So it was, you know, where am I needed? And there was, you know, there would be long periods of time where I would spend a ton of time at the Nissan store, and I wouldn't really spend a ton of time at Chrysler because Chrysler would be booming along and Nissan would need a little bit more help. And then, you know, Nissan would get rolling and then I'd go right back to Chrysler because they started to sputter out. So it was very much a day by day thing. And I always evaluated based on, I only have so much time in the day. Where is my time most needed now at this point in time?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Greg is superhuman. And I will tell you, like, he had a very extremely busy year when your twins were born. You would not, if you didn't know him, you would not know what he was going through. And I mean, the guy was spot on. Top
takes a lot.
Performance in his companies.
When the separation's a very difficult thing to do, go back and forth with it. So I know that it's a little bit. So
kudos to you.
Yeah, it was. That was a different level. I definitely don't have that gear anymore. But yeah, like, and even like on a person, like my diet was locked in. My exercise, I was exercising twice a day. I was like 6% body fat. Just like I was locked in on all. Like I had a gear. When they say athletic prime, like I was in like athletic prime, business prime. Like it was.
That helps. That helps.
Hey man,
I'm in my singular tire prime.
I'm not 6%.
That helps. That helps stress a lot though. So
it does, and it's funny because I remember Carmen asked me one time. He was like, "Man, how do you have the energy to work out?" It's like, buddy, if I didn't work out, I wouldn't have the energy to do what I do. Like you're asking the wrong question
funny
here.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah,
but I think being a top performer, being a winner, having businesses that are winning, that actually allowed that period to be a little bit easier than some other folks would have it.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Oh my
because
God.
you would have the opportunity, like the resources to execute the way you executed, which did probably alleviate a lot of stress for both of you.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Like the fact that we were riding such a high definitely made it easier. Like there's no question about it. You know, if the businesses were struggling and financially we were struggling and we had to go through what we went through with the girls, I can't even imagine how that would have been different. For sure. It made a huge difference.
So I think this is a perfect plug for Greg and his wife have a foundation.
Okay.
And why don't you touch on that quick and we'll jump back into some questions.
Yeah. So, most expensive lesson that I learned, I think I just figured that one out. I ordered 10 370Zs when they first came out. They launched a $29.9 370Z model with Nissan in 2017, and I let my like inner kid in me make that decision because I'm like, man, everybody in the world's going to want to buy one of these things for 30 grand. And funny enough, you know, 10 years later, if you announced a 29.9 370Z, I think I probably could order 10 of them and sell them all immediately. Yeah. So, you know, maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe I was just a little bit ahead of my time. Yeah.
I had the opportunity. I don't fit. I'm like Shrek in that car.
Yeah. So yeah, that one, that was probably the most expensive that I had to learn. And it was the lesson in that was I'm not buying these cars. The customers are buying the cars, right? So it doesn't matter what I like and what I think is cool, but I'll still stand firm that I was ahead of my time on that one, because if they announced a 29.9 370Z now, like I said, I think I could probably could have sold all 10 of them. So I was just
100%.
a little bit ahead of my time on that decision.
Still have 3 in the driveway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's that, Chino? We want to take a quick break to thank our sponsor, Superior Business Solutions in Sault Ste. Marie. They're your local Rico dealer for the Sioux and Algoma district. Office equipment, printers, copiers, service and support. They handle it all. And if you need anything printed or designed, AK Graphics is their full-service print shop on site. Everything from business cards to large format, they do it all. Northern Ontario business, serving Northern Ontario businesses, superiorbusiness.ca. Now, let's get back to Greg. And we're going to touch base briefly on your foundation, and then we'll move.
Yeah, you can't ask me to briefly talk about my foundation because I'm going to go crazy.
Tell the folks. And actually, we're going to put the link so they know how to get involved.
Yeah, this is my crown jewel. When it's all said and done, I don't, as much as I have enjoyed the journey and it's been a phenomenal journey, I've met a lot of fantastic people. When it's all said and done, I don't want to be remembered for selling cars, right? Like that's not where, I'm trying to get my legacy to. This foundation is it. This really is the thing that I'm, accomplishment wise, the most proud I am out of anything. So in 2014, my wife, we got pregnant and we found out it was twins. And so we had like a week of excitement, maybe at best, but they said that they wanted to send us to get additional scans because there's different types of twins. You have kind of like, I want to call them regular twins because it's still kind of, the odds of getting twins are pretty phenomenal. But you have like the regular kind of lower risk, and then you have like 3 different types of higher risk. And we went down to Sick Kids and they told us that basically we had the second highest type risk of twins, short of conjoined twins. Like that's, and the difference between what we had in conjoined twins was the egg splitting 24 hours sooner. Like that's really what it came down.
Oh,
that's
wow.
how close our girls were to becoming conjoined. So, the diagnosis is mono twins is what it's referred to. And the reason it's so dangerous is in most cases, when there's twins, you have a membrane that separates them. So they have like their own little sheltering houses units and they're, away from each other. With mono twins, they're in there together. So there's 2 cords, they tangle, lots of a lot of things can happen. So, lots of complications. So they monitor it. The plan for that is they put you inpatient at 26 weeks and then they monitor you from there. And you just hope you can get the kids to 32 weeks. They gave us basically a 50-50 odds to get both of them to 26 weeks. So that, those aren't good. Like 50-50 in theory sounds great, but like when you're talking about human life, that becomes, not fun.
Right.
So we're dealing with this and, they tell us the plan is going to be like Karen's going to have to move down to Toronto at 26 weeks. They'll monitor from there. And then we'll go from there. And then not long after, as they're doing like their follow-ups. So the nice thing is you get way more follow-ups. Like when you have this diagnosis, you get way more follow-ups. And the standard of care, I shouldn't say the standard of care because that sounds wrong, but
level.
They monitor it more so you can find more, you could see more, right? So I don't know what the term is for that, but we just, we got more attention, I guess is the way of saying it. So in one of the sessions, they found a heart issue with one of my daughters. And they originally had just classified it. I shouldn't say just because it's very serious condition. It's transposition of the great arteries. So they diagnosed with heart disease. After she comes out, she's going to have to go to Sick Kids, likely operations, blah, blah, blah. Down the road, they were like, okay, it's still TGA, transposition of the great arteries, but it's a more rare form. It's called DORV TGA. So it's more rare, more complex. So now it's like we're for sure going to see heart surgeries here, which is, those are, that's not really where you want to be in those doctors' meetings, right? So the businesses are going crazy. We're getting these diagnoses. Like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be insane. So, the girls are born. We go through all the motions. Karen's in Toronto managing the girls. I'm in the Sioux managing the businesses. And for a good 6 months, it was, I would wake up on Monday, I'd go to work, I'd hammer it out. Saturday afternoon, I would hop on a flight, I would go visit, the girls. I'd get my kind of 24 hours in. Sunday night, I would hop on a plane, get back home, and then wake up and do it all again on Monday. So it was chaos.
And the majority of the people didn't know what was going on. Now your wife had a vlog to follow along the journey.
Yeah. So we decided that we were going to, instead of flooding our Facebook, we just set up a different page for people who actually wanted to follow it, because people got invested. It was actually kind of crazy how many people were like invested in the story, invested into the story. So
people love helping each other.
Yeah. And they wanted the updates, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. So, she wrote about it basically every day about, kind of the journey. And I tell you, like, props to Sick Kids. What an amazing place. You walk into that place and you never ever forget that your kids are going through like critical issues and that it's a children's hospital. Yeah. But man, do they ever do a good job of like, if I didn't know the situation that I was in, I wouldn't have known the situation I was in. It's just, it's a phenomenal.
They make you feel comfortable
for there. What it is, for what you're walking into, for what the environment that they put out there is insane. It's a miracle, that place. It really is. So, we're doing this, and my daughter, as if you followed the story, she's fantastic now. Her, they're both thriving at life. But in the thick of it, when it was all said and done, we'd probably spent $15,000-$20,000. Flights, hotels, meals. Can't really cook down there, right? And I remember thinking at one point, I was like, man, how do people do this? Right? Like, if you're in a situation where we were fortunate financially, we were fortunate. The businesses were doing well, that 20 grand obviously was a big hit, but it wasn't something that, we had to start selling assets or it put us into any kind of debt. It wiped out our savings pretty good, but, we managed it obviously. And I just remember thinking, I was like, man, how do people who are living paycheck to paycheck, or even worse, manage a situation like this? And Charlie, who was my daughter with the heart condition, she was classified as, a minute by minute or a day by day baby. Like, a lot of times they just couldn't, they weren't able to tell us how it was going. Yeah. And I remember thinking, man, like, you have this situation where the mom's in Toronto and the dad is working. Like, what if I couldn't afford to fly down to see them? You know what I mean? What if the 1 week I couldn't afford to go down was the last week she's in the hospital, right? And it was haunting for me. It's awful. I've been a big supporter of the Sick Kids new hospital, because they need it. Because when we were there, you were in a room with 6 other families. Like, I don't want to say shoulder to shoulder, because that's not accurate. It's a little bit more hyperbole, but it's pretty close. And there were days that we would walk in, and you would walk in and see the family gathered by the baby with a priest there. Right. And that shakes you. That really, really shakes you.
That scares you for yourself too.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I always shed more tears for the other families while I was there. I really do. Clearly we were fortunate because my daughter made it out. Other families weren't so fortunate, and that still sticks with me. Charlie was in she's actually a Sick Kids ambassador. And she's been in a few of their commercials now. And, some of the commercials from the early days, like some of the kids just aren't around anymore. Right. And that it really sticks with you. So, like I said, I remember thinking, man, how do people do this? And I remember talking to Karen one day. I said, man, when we get past this, we're starting a foundation. We're starting a charity. Because I didn't realize that this is how this goes. And I can't do nothing about it after.
And there's a lot of people
this.
coming out to sue for this.
The tons.
It's
Tons.
like, you know, I don't want to say anything, but my daughter was leukemia child too, way back in the time. And I was a sick kid. So I know it's like, amazing place.
Yeah.
But when we were there, we seen people from the Sioux there. And it was like, wow, this is crazy. So you don't see that, but the foundation would probably see it. So that'd be great. So
So, and the foundation has grown so much, like it's expanded and grown. We just got approved for mental health services to help with mental health services, which is,
Congratulations.
you know, something I didn't like back in. I needed that. And I didn't realize that I needed it back in the day. Cause I'm like, oh man, I feel fine. I'm locked in, this, that, and the other thing. But like those blows start to crack the foundation. And over time that, you know what I mean? So I definitely down the road, it didn't, not in the moment. Right. But you're running on adrenaline. You're running on your instincts at that point in time. But you know, it got to me at one point. I was like, man, I was doing everything I should have been doing except taking care of my mental health. I wasn't like, you know, I was working out, I was eating properly. I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I've got this. I never ever checked in on my mental health. So it's really, really cool for me that we've expanded into mental health services as part of the foundation now.
Like when you say check in, like I don't even understand that terminology. And I think a lot of people don't understand. When you're checking in on your mental health? Like,
I didn't either. And it's like when you're dealing with chaos, especially if you have that fight part of the fight or flight, you don't feel it, right? I never ever felt.
You wake up to it one of these days.
I never ever felt anxious. I never felt depressed. I never felt any of those things. But it's because I was running off of like adrenaline and that fight instinct where like there was all this chaos around me and I just needed to swing at everything. Yeah. Right?
I agree.
I never ever once took the second to think about, man, maybe I need to sit and just like let some of this out.
But when it stops, all of a sudden you have time to think about it. All of a sudden it all comes back on you.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
Yeah. So I did a very poor job of taking care of my mental health in the most stressful part of my life. I did a great job doing everything else I was supposed to be doing. But I completely ignored my mental health and the stress that I was putting on myself. And it came.
Well, from the outside, you never know.
No.
Like I mean, I've had conversations with you for years. I would never know. And you don't truly know what someone's going through, I guess.
Yeah. And it's, for me, my job was to, help people get over their stress, help people get over their anxiety, help the business get through panic and chaos, right?
Whatever it was.
So like I was the lightning rod for when people had those issues, when the business had those issues. I was the guy to fix it. I didn't have, so where does the guy who fixes the issues go when he has issues, right? And it's like, you get into this, and I'm sure like, I don't want to start to get into this whole like manly thing, but you get into this whole like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing as the man, right? Like, and you fall victim to that where it's like, you're trying to take on the world and you don't need to, right? Like, so checking in on like just having, so I have sessions every 2 months now, maybe every 3 months, but for a while I was every month. Like when things got really bad, I was every month. And now I'm kind of like every 2 or 3 months, like with a psychiatrist.
Oh, I used to go weekly.
Yeah. And sure. Like whatever.
No. I'm you know what? It's
you got to hear yourself. You got to listen to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to have a sounding board too, somebody unbiased in your life
that can never come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
No. And that's the truth.
All the things that you did in life, you made it through, and then all of a sudden something happens and triggers something from behind.
Yeah.
And it comes back and it bites you and it bites you again. Then all of a sudden what's going on? What's happening? And you can't get over it. So that's the key of going to see somebody and talk to somebody.
Yeah. When I started to slow down, it was like right around the time where, you talk about athletic peak, like that's kind of the time where, you're starting. So it's like, maybe I'm just getting older and I'm just not as sharp and
menopause.
You start making excuses for it. And it's like, man, I never did a single thing ever to work on my mental health. Right. It's like, hey, I want to be in good shape. I got to eat right. I want to be in good shape. I got to exercise properly. I want to have all this energy. I got to make sure to have this, it's like, I want to be of sound mind. What am I doing? And I've never did anything to work on that.
Well, it
and
sounds
for
like
as
you've
much
been-
stress as I was putting on myself, I should have been.
Sound like you've been on a mission from day one.
Yeah.
This is what you want to do. This is how you want to do it. You just kept on going until now.
So how do people access the foundation, Greg?
www.thetwinkiefoundation.ca. So we service families in the Sioux, and we have a surrounding area that we can cover. If your child is sick or critically ill, needs to go out of town for hospital visits, there's a lot of different things that we cover. It started where it was just kind of like small meals, hotels, maximum
Help them with that gap.
Yeah, maximum two. Well, we didn't want to go crazy. When we rolled out this foundation, my biggest concern was I don't want to have more applications than money, right? The last thing that I want to do is give people hope and then be like, yeah, sorry, not enough money. So when we rolled it out, it was like 2,000 max per family per year. Now after, actually, what triggered this was the Cage Fowler situation for that family. When Cage was going through what he went through, we put a clause in that stated under extraordinary circumstances that we could waive the max based on board approval. So in a case like theirs where it was just constant, we wanted to be able to help families like that, whereas we couldn't before. So those little things that we've been adding over time, again, the mental health thing that we just added in. So as the foundation grows and as we get more support, we can expand out. And that's the goal, right? We want to expand properly and not recklessly.
So people out there, if you want to donate, there's a great cause that makes a local impact to the north, specifically the Siouan area right now. But here's a gentleman that is building a legacy that is giving back. And I think that's something that he's not just only done in through the foundation, but that's been woven into his fabric, because you've given back before that, even in, the last round of layoffs and different things. Helping people is always, if you follow this gentleman, which we're going to have his socials on, make sure you give him a follow. We'd also appreciate the follow too, but give him the follow and go back and look at some of his posts, because this guy has what's going on.
I try to do different things and creative things to help the most amount of people possible. And when I put things out, a lot of the times I'm like, oh yeah, this should do well, and I think that this will do pretty well. And sometimes sometimes I'll be like, this isn't going to do well, but I think it's funny, or maybe this won't do well because it's controversial. So I generally have a pretty good barometer of what I'm putting out there. The Algoma Steel post, I was like, this should go over pretty well. I think that this is useful to people, and I think that went over probably better than remember the restaurant post that I did during COVID? That probably went over better than the restaurant post. Right? I have people that, I'm in the grocery store, they'll pull me out of off to the side and be like, really appreciate that post and what you're doing for people at Algoma. So it's, that one was crazy. And, it's out West, the credit issues are more severe out West.
Really?
Yeah, because the money's there, but the issue is people go on the rigs, they're away for time, they forget to pay their bills. You get into this keeping up with the Joneses thing where you're spending money faster than you can make it. So the credit issues out there are way different there than they are here, and they're more challenging out there. So I grew up and also I grew, when I started, it was during the recession where the oil field and the auto sector were so it's like I grew up in a war zone for credit. So I learned a ton about how to navigate situations like this. So when the Algoma Steel layoffs were announced, I was like, man, I know how to help these people. I know exactly how to navigate this, and I kind of got to get it out there.
Yeah.
Because there's a time crunch, right? There's only a certain amount of time, and then after that, it gets significantly more difficult, right? So when the layoffs are first announced, that's where you want to make the decision, because the banks don't really follow they follow the news, but they don't really follow the news. You know what I mean? So you want to get out ahead of them before they're like, oh, this guy works for Algoma Steel. We can't approve this guy, or we need, this
But
much
the
money
banks
down.
are your only friend, Greg, when you have money in the bank.
Yeah.
If you are struggling to try and
numbers.
get there, you need an umbrella. They're like, sorry, we're not in the umbrella
We're
business
sorry, not
or an
to help
idea
you.
business.
The most popular, so during the recession in 08, the most popular transition, I guess, for people was like from truck to car or from 2 vehicles to 1 vehicle. Like that's really how people navigated that. And the truck to SUV is that's such a math buster, because it's like, your truck payment's $800, but then your insurance is $200 a month, and then your gas is $500 a month. And maybe you think your truck payment's $800, but you kind of forget that your cost of driving is $1,400.
Yeah.
Whereas you trade that in, and then all of a sudden you're in an SUV, and you're $600 a month on the SUV, and the insurance is $100, and the gas is $200. Like you've shaved a big part.
Yeah.
So that's the part I really enjoy. I've always enjoyed, and I just dealt with a situation 2 weeks ago where, a gentleman was, on his last phone call. It was like, man, nobody can help me. I bought a truck here and I got to get out of it. And everybody's telling me they can't do anything for me. And we helped him out, and he could not have been happier. And his dad was so happy with the way that we treated him that he traded his truck in and bought a new one for himself. So
Which is great.
Yeah. I mean, that
is a great. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite story, from the Algoma Steel post, but I'm always trying to put stuff out there that can help a lot of people at once. That's really the lane that I like to be in, where if I could put something out there where I know it's gonna benefit the masses, that's what I enjoy putting out.
Well, it's definitely a great lane, helping people out. That's for sure. Hey, no, we need more people like you. So we'll tie back into a little bit of business. One thing holding Northern Ontario businesses back right now, one honest, no filter answer.
Yeah, it's not just Northern Ontario business. It's just the government. It's like our governments are holding businesses back. We're going backwards. This is supposed to be a capitalist economy. And what a lot of people can't really define what that is. It's supposed to be a free economy, free from government intervention. And this goes both ways. Everybody, when you get into this capitalist conversation, everybody wants to blame, taxes or this or that or the other thing. And it's not just that. It's also government bailouts. A government bailout is not free market. That's government intervention.
Yes.
Even though some people might view that as positive government intervention, I don't view any government intervention as positive government intervention. So we'll focus on bailouts because, the taxes is a highly debated thing, and I don't want to get into that. Bailouts, I think we can all agree for the most part, nobody wants to see these things. And what the important part to recognize about bailouts is, if a company is failing and they're not making money and they need handouts, it's a failing company. Somebody is not doing their job, right? And that somebody or group of people need to be replaced, or the business just needs to be allowed to fail. So somebody else comes in, buys it up, restructures, retools, and moves it forward. Governments throwing piles of money at inefficient businesses makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's like
a Band-Aid.
It's like if you're you want to gamble and you're a bad gambler,
I'm
right?
a terrible gambler.
Right. I'm not the best gambler
At
either.
casinos.
It's like you don't just keep throwing money at bad bets. At some point in time,
They're going to do it.
you're not going to make it all back in one hit.
Yeah.
So, our governments are not doing us any favors right now. They're way too involved. There's too much red tape, too much intervention.
But they're picking and choosing their spots too.
Yeah. Well, and now, it's obviously there's too much money in politics, but I'll stand, like, the closer we can get to a free market economy, the better it would be for businesses. So Very easy answer for me there. Government just needs to take a hike.
100%. It for me, I mean, we've opened up a door now. Oh boy, Chino's getting ready. But
that was from Chino, not
that
from
was
anybody else.
where we spend our money as well. What, like, we're sending our money out to other countries. We're spending money everywhere where you can't spend your business that way. If your business was in the, let's take the government as a business, and
It is a business.
it is a business, but it's a business that keeps on regenerating money every time and giving it away again to the wrong causes. We cannot operate our business in that fashion, because if I did, I would be like put in jail.
I try to simplify everything, because the economy is a massive engine. The government's a massive engine. You can go back and forth with this for days and days and days. I try to simplify things down to like an individual level. And if I'm an individual and I can't afford to pay my bills, okay, and I'm spending more money than I can bring in, and I'm not getting any further ahead in my career or my advancement, do you think the first thing on my mind is going to be to start giving money to my neighbor?
Probably not.
Probably not. And it's not even because I don't care about my neighbor. It's because I don't have the money to give. There's not there. You can't, you know what I mean? So for as much as, we need to be helping others when we can, we also have to help ourselves at some point. And people in this country are clearly struggling right now.
Yeah.
And I think that you can speak on this economically all you want. I think optically it's a terrible look for us to be sending money.
It's going to make it worse down the road.
Yeah.
Already happened.
Not only that, so government spending is like one of the leading causes of inflation. So for us to be printing money to be sending overseas to compound an inflation problem is insane to me.
When we're doing good, yeah, let's do it. But
Sure.
not when we're not doing
But
good.
has someone ever actually
seems
looked
like,
at where the money goes?
Every day you watch the news, they're giving it to somebody or they're doing something.
Yeah.
So it's $500 million here. And now, don't even talk about millions anymore. It's all billions now. So,
Yeah.
The new millions.
yeah.
Just like thousands are the new hundreds.
But to answer your question, I try not, like, I can't with politics right now. Trump's a disaster. Our country's a disaster. Like I feel like in town, a lot of business owners shy away from talking about politics. And I feel like as a dealer principal, I probably put sometimes maybe too much politics out there. I'm not scared to do it. But it's because I enjoy the discourse and I enjoy talking about it with people, like actual discourse, not the, orange man bad or Pierre's going to save the country.
Our own problem because he just did what he did. We were not ready for it, and we didn't set ourselves up to be ready for it. And there's the bottom line.
Are we talking Trump?
Trump, yeah.
Yeah.
To a point anyways. I mean,
Here's my thing with Trump.
Or just American side. We counted him so much.
I don't know what Trump's doing right now. I don't. People ask me about, where are you really at with Trump? Because I do try. I'm a libertarian. So the way I evaluate everything is the smallest minority is the individual, and individual rights is the most important thing. So that's how I evaluate everything. With that, I can look at a platform from the right and be like, this is stupid. Or I can look at a platform from the left and be like, I'm not like a hardcore right. I'm not a hardcore left. I'm for the individual.
Right.
Common sense, one would say.
Yeah, right. So a lot of the times people will come to me and like, hey, what do you think? Excuse me, what do you think about this? And I get asked a lot about Trump because he's such a wild. And here it is with Trump. Here's where I've been at. His first term, like a B minus, maybe. I feel like for the first 3 years, and like I look at everything economically too. Like economically is like the number one priority. You keep people working, you keep wages growing, you keep the economy booming.
That's his job.
That limits your problems, right? It doesn't eliminate your problems, but it also allows you to help all of these other causes that you want to help. When people are successful and they're working and the economy's vibrant, there's a lot of things that you can do. It should be the top priority. So I always look at things from the economy out. And in Trump's first term, if you strip away all of the bull, right? All of the Twitter, all of the antics, all of the everything, what he did for the economy the first 3 years was great. I feel like he did a fantastic job, and I think it warranted giving him another chance at a second term. The fourth year with COVID, he went off the rails. He just went spending crazy. He was trying to save his presidency with the stock market. He did everything that I would never want to see any president do, right or left, doesn't matter. So, you know, going into, so then Biden gets elected, and inflation is really, like, people want to blame Biden, but let's be real. Like we just said a minute ago, where, and you know, one of the biggest causes of inflation, government spending, Trump spent a pile of money, right? A lot of that inflation bill belongs to him, but because of the way that we view politics, it's like whoever is in the chair gets the hot seat. Yeah. So he does deserve a big share of the blame there. But I also, going into, you know, where he was running a second time, I felt like he at least did enough to deserve a second chance. And what he was running on was very similar. And it's like, okay, listen, you want your leader and your commander in chief to be able to manage chaos. So when there's a chaotic situation, you want him to be able to get through it properly. He clearly failed during COVID.
He makes chaos.
Economically, yeah. So, but he did such a good job in the first 3 years. My mindset was, okay, let's kind of follow the campaign. Let's see what he says. He really pushed a libertarian, like he was really, really pushing like libertarian stances, which, you know, anti-war, mind your own business, worry about the economy. He was saying all the right things. And then I don't know what happened to him. I honestly, he just
leave it at that.
Yeah. And it's so bad to the point where I honestly, I can't say unbiasedly that Harris would have been any worse. I think, I don't think she would have been a good choice, but I don't think she would have been any worse and he's been so bad now. I don't even know if Biden would have been worse for another term. Like, I really don't.
Do you know where their numbers are roughly?
Like approval,
their economy. I don't care about their.
It's better than ours. Like, they're not in a recession.
It is better.
Yeah. It's better than ours for sure. But
not depending on where it is, but it's,
a lot of it is it's artificial, right? It's just the government is propping up.
They're throwing it everywhere.
Oh my, you know, so that only lasts for so long.
It has to. It has to. No.
So over there, let's talk about here. What do you think Carney is? How do you think he's doing?
I mean, great marketing campaign. Like, maybe one of the most successful marketing campaigns I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've never.
He found it was a masterclass. He found a way to get everybody to forget about everything that's happened in this country.
It was a big move, and it worked.
And just focus solely on Trump. Like, Trump was the biggest problem that this country was facing. Yeah. So I mean, that's how that's the unfortunate side of politics, is that's just how it works. We can't do anything about it other than sit and talk about it. Masterclass in marketing, but I mean, clearly anybody that follows economics and understands that knew he was a fraud, and we knew that this was the direction that we were going in. But it's an interesting situation because, you know, with inflation, the price of everything goes up, including assets, right? And statistically, it's the boomers that are supporting Carney in droves. Who owns the majority of the assets, right? So inflation is positively affecting them right now because, maybe their grocery bill went from 100 or 150 to 175 or 200, but their house has gone from 300 to 1.2 million, and all of their investments are up an insane amount. Right. So it's funny because I'll talk to people kind of my age and below my age that are like, I don't get it. And how are these people saying that they are doing better? It's like, they are doing better. Yes. Like, that's not a lie. They're legitimately doing better because they're benefiting off of this inflation.
Yes.
It's the rest of the country that's suffering
so far before. Yeah. So now it's an instant.
Our kids would have a hard time.
Yeah. Inflation's great if you own a bunch of assets, like all of your stuff goes up.
Can you believe here in the Sioux? I mean, I still think we're a good spot to buy a home, but just to take it back to inflation, like I was looking through the real estate market the other day, and I think there's like 5 or 6 homes over like 1.5, like 1.2 and up.
Yeah.
Like,
we were so far behind, though, at one time. It's just caught up a little bit.
The wages in Sault Ste. Marie aren't there to support unless you're moving here from somewhere else.
Yep.
And that's why it was going so well, because a lot of people moved here for a while. So,
yep.
So you like Poilievre?
So here's the thing. Like, I have my opinion on my personal opinion on Poilievre is he isn't as bad as what the narrative is on him. Like, I feel like he could have been competent. I feel like he's a competent prime minister. He could have been a competent prime minister, but strategically, he lost an election. He lost a very winnable election. He lost an election where he was projected at one point to win by a landslide.
Yeah.
So I don't know if running him again is the move. I feel like they would have been better off running somebody differently.
Yep.
And it's not because I don't like his platform's fine. Like, you read through his economic plan. If you cut away all of the BS that they're putting about him, and I get he rubs people the wrong way, but if you, again, all I care about is the economy. That's the most important thing for me. If you read his economic policy, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
He was too busy pointing fingers instead of showing it off.
Yeah, he got. I think he got involved in trying to get these one-ups and these like mic drop moments, and I think that needed to that one clip, the apple eating clip. I think that like he needs to get back to more of that.
That was grounded.
Oh yeah, oh, it's great. That for image wise, and it's a game, right? Like, I would love for everybody to just vote economically, but it's a game. It's a political game. There's billions of dollars in advertising that goes into this. It's one massive game, and it's who's better at it? Carney just outmaneuvered them.
Yeah. They didn't see it. They didn't see it coming. They couldn't stop it. So.
No, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that Pierre is the be all and end all that's going to save this country, but I think economically his platforms will be beneficial to the majority of Canadians in the long run. So the next election, I do hope he wins.
Well, Greg, I did hear a stat and I think because it's only from the first quarter of this year, from in January, over 120,000 1%ers have left the country.
Yeah.
Like, we can't shed top performers like this.
No, that's
and
bad.
I had this conversation and I was trying to get to the bottom of it. And I'm like, well, taxes, yes, we talk about taxes, but really we can't afford not to, because where does the money go? So let's talk about just Ontario for a second. Well, X amount, if say we have a budget, and forgive me, I don't know the actual numbers. I maybe say 140, but the majority of our budget goes to teachers, teaching, like education. And then it goes to healthcare, or it might be for healthcare first. Mm. Well, out of that, it only leaves
our healthcare is broken.
small amounts. So the idea is tax us more, spend more money. Like, I mean, we're already paying. Well, you can't take more from a stone.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we're inefficient. We're completely inefficient. And you guys kind of had a little bit back and forth with the whole, the government's a business. People try to say the government isn't a business and shouldn't be treated. Why not?
It is a business.
It collects revenue. It has expenses. It has costs. It has assets. It gets audited.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like a business to me. And if you don't treat it as such, if you don't treat it and you don't give it the respect, this is what you end up with. And this is, this narrative of the government isn't a business. That was, I think, something, that was put out there 10 or 20 years ago, and it really stuck. And it's been damaging, because if I didn't treat my business, again, to make this very simple, if I didn't treat my business like it was a business, I'd probably be losing money too. Right. The only difference is I don't have this trough on the side of unlimited funds that I can just pull from. I can't just, raise taxes or raise the prices on things to bring more money in. Right. Like, imagine.
And that's what they're doing.
Imagine every time I got into trouble, I just raised the prices on my stuff. Like,
I'd make poor decisions all the time.
Yeah, like
one after another.
I don't think I would last very long. And that's essentially, to put an analogy on it, that's what the government does. Every time that they make poor decisions or waste money or whatever, they either just raise the taxes or print more money, right? Yeah. And that is the equivalent of a business owner just being like, yeah, we've made some bad decisions and we're not making any money, so let's just raise prices. How do you think that that's going to go for the business? Sure, maybe you get through it the first time, maybe you get through it the second time, but at one point in time, the customers are going to say, hey, forget this guy.
And all the small businesses are hurting because of it.
So the customer is the voter. And we're talking because we're business leaders here and we've been in business, but it also, I think it pays attention to our workers that work inside our organizations, because they're our teammates. Without them, we can't be us, and everyone has a role to play on our team of our business. And I think taken to what you just said, I think we as Northern Ontario citizens have a really big opportunity coming up this October to finally look at the governments that we form in our municipalities and how they work with other municipalities and other layers of government. Take apart. Let's treat it as a business. Let's talk about it as a business. And how do we get that message out, because what you're saying is just common sense. I can sit here and say, that's total common sense. What do we need from our local leaderships and our local councils? Who do we need in there running these shows and getting these opportunities? Because it makes a difference. There's some big plays happening in Wawa. There's some big plays happening in Duberville. Sudbury is rocking and rolling. Thunder Bay is rocking and rolling. Sault Ste. Marie is rolling, not rocking. But,
are we even rolling?
But we have potential.
Oh, so much
we have a huge
stagnant, I
potential.
think. So,
and you know, our head of producer and our chief, everything that makes everything happen here on the podcast, Mike and I were down getting a history lesson a few weeks ago at the Sioux Locks. And I think the key to our future is from our past. Sault Ste. Marie was a trading center, a gathering spot. And I think we can win. And to your baseball team analogy, you left the Dodgers because you wanted to make an impact on a different style of team where your impact was felt. And I think forming the right government will allow us to be, Sudbury has a player, we're a player on the team. Where do we fit in? We're not a pitcher.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure. I don't know if looking at municipal government would be accurate. As far as my opinion on the municipal government, I was really excited when our municipal was formed. I felt like there was like a nice fresh wave to get, like we needed to get out of the mantra of the old boys club. Like I think if you talk to anybody with any kind of like experience in the Sioux, and the old boys club reference came up a lot, whether it was accurate.
I heard that.
Yeah, whether it was accurate or not, or whether it was apt or not is irrelevant. That was the perception of the city.
Much so.
And I can't say that I follow municipal politics a ton, but the stuff that I do follow, I get the impression that we've just traded in this old boys club for a clique. It is really how I feel when I'm watching and following some of this stuff. I was really excited for the makeup of this council, and I can't say that they've hit those expectations. That's just my opinion. I don't follow it as closely as a lot of other people do, but the stuff that I do follow, that's the impression that I get. So I am interested to see how this next run of elections run out and how many people feel the same.
So
I think a lot, to be honestly. I believe what you're saying. So.
I think it's a vision. So when I break it down, and I'll break it down the way that I see things quickly, and I'll let you go from there. Yeah. Let's look at the Economic Development Corporation. Those are the people that are supposed to be the hunters going out, the salespeople of Sault Ste. Marie, going out to the market and bringing opportunity back to the municipality. You've got the Prime Minister, you've got Doug, everyone is going out trying to get business. We do not, we hear, what business are we going after besides a port? One singular thing. That board goes through the mayor and council. What are they doing? If you don't have a vision, we're going to sit back and remember everyone, back in the day, in your day, Honda, we could have had Honda, or we could have had this, or we coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not up to us, like this whole platform is to start, hey, what do you think? Who do you think
they have nothing? They have nothing for right now. They have talk for later, but later is going to not help us.
Well, later schmater. We've heard this from time and time again. I'm blue in the face from hearing the same old crap.
Yeah, that's been a thorn in his side for a while. I remember one of our previous mayors, you kind of had that conversation with that person, and I think the comment that you got back was, "Well, I'm a closer. You set me up with a deal, and I'll just close it." And it's like, yeah, that's not the way.
I'm a closer.
yeah.
You can have the relationship.
If he was the mayor, we'd have a train right now.
Yeah.
So don't even start with my high-speed train. You and Chino over here on this side of the room. So I've been talking, and I don't know if you've caught some of the other podcasts, but we talk about decarbonization. We talk about, well, you know this from your travels back and forth. Sault Ste. Marie, we're 8 hours from everywhere. We're 9 hours from being awesome.
But we're central.
We are centrally located.
Yeah.
So if we have a lot of a property, we just talked about it. We have a lot of property. We have a lot of waterfront. We need people. How do we get people? A high-speed rail, like in Europe or Japan, China, that takes you down to Toronto in an hour and whatever, 30, 40 minutes, that runs lightning quick. Sault, bookend, Sault, Toronto. Then after we can work on Sault, Thunder Bay and become the center. We have property. If you could go and work, or we could go and meet, I could have guests from Toronto on the show without having to catch a flight. How many times have you been stuck in Toronto on flights?
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
I just got back. I was in Italy and I got back from Italy and it's the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And I got there. It's a 4-hour delay. You guys got a snowstorm. No, we don't. It's a broken ass plane, or it's some person. When you go and look in the airports now, it's delay. Put me on an electric train, decarbonization, shoot us down, and start selling real estate and marketing the opportunity up here.
One of everybody on social has their like thing that they do. And one of I like everybody's quirks on social. Jeff Alge is always complaining about getting stuck in Toronto. So you might need
use my train.
You might need to have you might need to link up with him on that, because I think that's
a lot of people will link
that's
up.
a thorn in his side there. I know. I think
every time you go out, you come back late. So
here's the best way I could equate it. So someone should reach out to Elon Musk, because working in the north is like being on Mars. He wants to go to Mars. Put the train in and let's see how it'll do.
But yeah, I think there's layers to it. Like I definitely, like I said, I know that you've been on this for a while, and I think that you're right. You know, in Matt, our elected officials make a big difference. And if you look at our voting history over the last 50 years versus everybody else, we're hard right. Like we're not like center, or sorry, not hard right, hard left. We're hard left.
Hard left, yeah.
We're not center, left a little bit. Like you look at our voting history over like the last 50 years, and it's like 92% either Liberal or NDP.
Yeah, or NDP,
right?
yes.
Right.
Mostly NDP for a long time.
Yeah. So the way that I look at this, it's just like in politics, all of these discussions, it's like left versus right. It's like, okay, we voted a certain way over the last 50 years. Are we happy with the economic development that we've seen over the last 50 years by voting basically the same way over the last 9
It has to be a mixture in there.
Yeah.
It has to be
Yeah.
blended. It has to be.
But here's the thing, they're doling it out. It's coming election time. Like Ross did a good job.
They do nothing until.
A lot of the things that we're getting right now are because of Ross's term.
But
Yeah.
they do nothing until that time, and then they put all that money out to get reelected.
Because we're too busy giving it to lost causes.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
That's another day.
Yeah, so that's the way that I look at in terms of like it's like, hey, listen, if you think that we're great, if you think economically we're great and we're moving in the right direction and then by all means keep voting that way, right? Like, hey, if you're happy with it, then great, because that's all you can do. Like, you're not, most people aren't voting for everyone else; they're kind of voting for themselves. And it's like, hey, if you really feel like this type of voting history has benefited us for the last, then keep voting that way. But if don't sit there and complain about everything and complain, when we keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
I'm not complaining, but we did have a guest on that may start looking at moving their businesses out of the country.
Yeah, it's gonna.
So if you keep the people with the ideas, I'm an idea guy. Everyone knows I'm an idea guy. Execution and follow through. You start getting these people, you will have nothing left. Have we not watched The Walking Dead?
Yeah, Canada is not an attractive investment for anybody right now. Not internally, not externally.
But yet they should be.
We should. Oh my God, we should be.
Everything here.
Yeah, we really, really should be. But
it's too high. It's too much, and it's
nobody wants to invest in. The people that are invested in are starting to question those investments. Like we're not in good shape right now at all.
Trying to draw them in right now.
But I will so I'll tie this back into the car land. This is almost like looking when you acquired your Dodge store. And you're like, okay, there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a goosebump opportunity because we're in the largest wealth transfer the world has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Opportunity is right there.
Mm-hmm.
We just need aligned vision. We need people to start connecting and making smart decisions. Decisions based on what does it actually mean for me? Because the keyboard warriors, the people that are vocally speaking out, they're tired of seeing the same old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm hopeful in encouraging everyone to get out and really, it starts at our local level.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could go to the next level, the provincial level, and then it can go to the federal level. And by getting everyone aligned And can you imagine an entire community starts pulling in that direction?
Mhm.
We can't just sit here and say, why us?
Mhm.
Oh, well, we could have. I hear
Or
that all the
would've,
time.
yeah.
Why not us? Here's a top 40 under 40. This man did it. He didn't say, why not? Why me?
He just did it.
He just did it. So
that
let's
is
get out there and
different. You're
start
right.
doing it.
Start talking, start doing.
Start
a
talking.
little bit.
Stop talking. Talk about it. Do it. Execute on it.
Yeah.
So we had a couple listener questions here for you.
Oh, great.
And so what's your advice for someone? This is a listener out of Sudbury. What's your advice for someone trying to buy their first business in a smaller northern market? What do they actually need to know that nobody tells them, Greg?
You actually might be able to answer this better than me, because I had angel investors. So like scrapping together money was really never an issue for me. Like I had people coming to me. So my strategy was always work hard and get in with the right people. And
Right.
clearly I did, because, so there's 3 other shareholders in this, and none of the 3 of them had ever stepped foot in Sault Ste. Marie in their lives. But they invested millions of dollars into this city because they trusted me. So that was, there's again, multiple ways to skin a cat. If you're out looking for investments, that was the way that I did it, was based off of like the earning the trust, the going out and the getting the investor. So not sure your situation, not sure if that's an option for you to go out and look for those types of investors, but I'll defer to you, because that was always your lane in terms of getting like the funding and everything.
I worked hard and used my own money. Now I want to use OPM, other people's money. You're on that strategy. So to sum it up, I think it's when you were on the Dodgers, some of the Dodgers invested with you because they had a strong relationship. So maybe for that listener out of Sudbury, learn before you earn. I think that would be a good sentence. Learn before you earn.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Perfect. Listener out of Thunder Bay. How do you stay competitive against online car buying when you're a regional dealer?
That's a mentality. It's a mentality and it's a process. And we actually go through stages where we just, we decide that we can't be competitive. And you have to understand the playground. And what I mean by that is there was an inventory shortage a while ago, obviously with COVID, that disrupted all of the supply chains. We had an inventory shortage. Being competitive with online pricing ceased to become a concern, because now it becomes a math equation. Before I had access to unlimited inventory. I had 350 units on the ground for new vehicles. I had lots all over town, just storage facilities, just vehicles sitting there waiting to be sold. I could order 100 vehicles. They would show up in 3 months. It wasn't an issue. So it made it really, really easy. If somebody came and said, oh yeah, I need $1,000 off to match with Toronto, that we did it. And the philosophy was always there. At that point in time, when we were going crazy, when we were going nuts, everyone knew in the building that we were not going to lose a deal to anywhere else. The most important part was getting the vehicle getting the customer in the vehicle, getting them under our nameplate, and then we'll get them back in parts and service. Maybe they'll buy an extended warranty. Maybe they'll buy some insurances where we can make up some of the losses. It's important to understand the playground. And for a long time we were competitive, and for a very, very short amount of time, it became, I only have 40 inventory units on the ground. And if I order 40 more, I might see 20 of them in 6 months.
Yes.
Right. So then it becomes, I have to charge what I need to charge to make money. Yeah. Right. So the car business operates under about a 2 to 4% return on sales. So if I sell something for $50,000, my return on that is maybe $2,500 kind of on average, is what we're looking for. So the margins aren't huge on that side of the house, and you have to understand where the playground is. So in an ideal situation where the inventory is good, so COVID is kind of the exception. So let's remove that from the equation to answer your question. It's a philosophy. The philosophy before we came in was we're going to make $1,500 on every single deal, and we don't care. We don't care. So MSRP is 50 grand. Dealer discounts bring it down to 40 grand. Here's the best deal, 38.5. right? And that's how they did it before. And if a customer was like, well, we want a tonneau cutter, where we want, a bed liner, they would just say, no, that's it. This is what we want to make. This is where we're at. So, the strategy of that store was to make their $1,500. That's what they wanted to make on every single unit. Our store strategy, again, outside of COVID, was just sell the unit. Figure out what we need to do so that way we don't, we can either make a little bit of money or not lose a ton of money. Figure out a way to negotiate the deal. We've always matched prices, and we kind of have a threshold. Sometimes Toronto dealers will put things out where it's like, minus $1,000, minus $1,500, like true cost type of thing. And it's really dependent on how we want to play that. But for the most part, we won't lose a deal over a couple $100. And that's a mentality. My sales guys know that. My sales managers know that. Volume over gross is really how we've pushed. So it's a mentality. You have to have everybody bought in, because if you get into this whole game of, the customer's being irrational and I don't want to sell this car for that, then you fall into the trap. You'll start losing sales. So to maintain, to be competitive with other dealers, it's 100% about a mentality. We all pay the same for vehicles. My Ram that cost me $50,000 from factory cost the same in Sudbury, cost the same in Toronto, cost the same in Thunder Bay. We all pay the same for these vehicles. It's just a matter of what we're willing to sell them for under the circumstance. So it's completely a mentality. For the 90% of my tenure there, we've always pushed volume. We've always made volume the number one most important thing. Other stores don't see it that way.
So strategy.
Yeah.
So running it on
Strategy, process,
knowing your customer,
communication, mentality. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you for listener Thunder Bay. So one more from Sault Ste. Marie. What would you tell your 25-year-old self about building a business here?
Okay.
Whoa, you're like, whoa.
Well, no. So there's two answers to this. The first answer is not helpful to anybody else. But what I would tell my 25-year-old self is, go, keep doing it. Like,
put your helmet on.
Oh yeah. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Don't stop. In 2 words, that's what I would tell my old self. Don't stop. So for me, it was, I had the plan. I was fortunate enough. I got really good, I had really good business teachers. I had really good experience in enterprise. I was 26, I think, when I got into like the dealership land. So I had really good training from enterprise. That's the advice to don't stop, don't change a thing, keep going. For everybody else, I think that the way that I viewed things when I was 25 or 26 was a lot of my friends were very much, we're only young once and we can only travel once and we can only do this once. Like a lot of my friends were worried about getting that life experience in at that age.
Right.
And that's where I lapped a lot of them, because where they were worried about life experience,
you were working.
I was working, right? I was more, and my mentality was, maybe I'll be a little bit older when I can enjoy the life experience side of the house, but I would rather be, 45, 46 and be financially ready to go than maybe get a little bit more fun when I'm 25 and then struggling and having to work until I'm 60. I never wanted to work until I was 65.
I got to pull at 43.
Yeah. So that would be the broad generic advice that I would give to most people is
you have to pick and choose. So.
You're and listen here. I'll open up a little bit. I was a few years ago. I kind of had mentioned my mental health. I was diagnosed with clinical depression, anxiety, the whole works. We went. I went through a lot, and what I've lost from that is I called it my 6th gear. I've always had kind of that 6th gear where it's like, people would say, man, how do you do it? How do you keep up? I've always had that 6th gear where I could keep going even when everybody else had to stop to take a break. I could keep going. When I lost my 6th gear, it really made me realize that I made all the right choices, because if I would have, chosen those life experiences and those trips and all that kind of stuff, I would still need to be working for 10 or 20 more years without that sixth gear right now. Right. So I've talked a lot about like athletic prime. Like you only have so many good years where you can push your body to its limits and even beyond its limits. And for me, I wanted to take advantage of that in the business world and in financially. And hey, maybe that's not for you. I have friends that are like, hey, listen, there's people in my group that were smarter than me, more successful than me, and could have done better things than me, but they decided that they were just cool
with what they were
9 to 5, making 80, 90K. And there's nothing wrong with that. No. Like the most important, honestly, the most important thing is figure out, you got to try and forecast where you want to be in 20 years and what you're going to think and how you're going to feel. And for me, I did not want to be working until I was 65. And I wanted to put myself in a position where I was just going to work until I couldn't, like it was work as hard as I could till I couldn't go anymore. And hopefully I was coming out on the right side of on the financial side of it. So, number one, make sure you understand what's important to you. And if the social, experiences are more important for you, then go crazy. But just understand that the prime sixth gear years of your life, you only have so many of those. And it's really, really important how you choose to use those because, they say an athletic prime is 26 to 32 and, athletes tend to start retiring 35, 36, 37 years old. So, what kind of position are you going to put yourself in at 40? And are you looking at 25 more years of work? Just so you can take a couple trips here and there. So that's the best advice.
To the all-inclusive resort that you're never going to remember.
Yeah. So that's the best broader advice that I could give. But the advice that I would give myself is don't stop. You've got it. You don't understand it yet, but you've got it figured out and just keep doing it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So there you have it, folks. Greg Lefave, climb the ladder, learn before you earn. Watch out because you'll chip a few gears on your sixth gear. Make sure that you're chasing something that you're passionate about because this man is passionate about. And now he's in the giving phase and he's looking for the next chapter. And I'm sure we haven't heard anything about him. But I will promise you guys that his sixth gear is better than most people's fifth gear, 10th gear, most people. So even if he's in fifth, it's better than their sixth.
All good.
So... one thing that I'm going to ask is, who would you like to see on our show next? If you could nominate one person,
local.
It doesn't have to be local. We're going after people. We're getting regional.
We're
reach.
going after people.
He's going to hate me for recommending him, but Jeff Algie for sure. Yeah, okay. Love to see Jeff Algie on the show.
All right, Jeff, we'll be reaching out. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to Connected North. Greg Lefave, a good friend of mine. Business leader extraordinaire, just an extraordinary human, him and his wife and his whole family. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you for coming out.
Please.
You guys having me.
This is going to be coming out. Follow. If you don't already follow, he has a bigger following than us. So if you're following him, follow us and
yes.
we'll follow you. But again, thanks to all the business leaders. Thanks to everyone who wants to be a business leader. Thank you for getting out there. Thank you again, gentlemen, both for coming. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
And look forward to seeing this one go live.